Good morning, everybody. Andy and I back in Columbus, Ohio. It's very cold, 18 degrees this morning. We're at a new park. Annie, what are you looking at? Come here. All right. Thanks for joining my channel. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so and share it with others. I'd really appreciate it. It's where I talk about mental health being spiritual health. Mental health is spiritual health. In fact, just a little, I've said this before, what God says the most in the Bible is do not be afraid or do not fear. He says that depends on the translation up to 365 times. That's once a day. So obviously he doesn't want us to be anxious or to worry or to have fear. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. Today we're going to talk about getting rid of baggage and forgiveness. Okay, and we're going to be in Genesis, the first book of the Bible, chapter 33, verses 1 through 11. But you can read the whole chapter. And the key verse today is Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. And you'll find out why that's so important. But first, I just wanted to say, if you guys do feel down or depressed or anxious, stressed, have PTSD, don't like how you feel, I can help you change your mind permanently. I can change the baseline state of your mind permanently. So give me a shout out. If you've tried medications, therapy, it helps a little bit, but it doesn't completely change the way you feel. And I'm not a therapist or a counselor or a doctor. I'm not even a pastor. But I've gone through it and I've gotten myself out of it. And even under horrible circumstances, you can feel happy. So please reach out to me. Okay, now let's talk about forgiveness, getting rid of baggage. Speaking of baggage, I don't know if you went to college or even high school, but college was horrible because it's not like you had a locker nearby. I took engineering and I remember having like an electronics book, a big electronics book, circuits book, a power electrical book, an electromagnetics book, engineering economics book, just jammed into my backpack or book bag and carrying it around all day long on campus. That was painful. Especially I played basketball, injured my back. I had herniated discs. It was terrible to carry that around all the time. And that's kind of what emotional baggage is if you don't forgive someone. I'd like to know. That might even be the second most thing that's talked about. Talk about forgiving others, loving others and even loving your enemy, Jesus talks about. But God talks a lot about forgiveness. And that's because he knows when we don't forgive, hatred and bitterness build up inside us. And it doesn't just affect the way we feel toward that one person or persons or group or whoever. It affects everything we do in our whole life. It's like a poison inside of us. And what happened with Jacob and Esau is pretty interesting because Esau was the oldest, so he had the birthright, and he should have had his father's blessing. But Jacob stole both of them from Esau, tricked him into getting both of them. And Esau was at the point where he wanted to kill him. So Jacob fled. And Jacob was gone for a decade or more than a decade. I don't even know how long it was. It was more than 14 years. And when they finally got back together, Jacob and Esau hugged and even cried because over that time, Esau forgave him. And Jacob, Annie, come here. Annie, come. Sorry, she was running after another dog. Come here, Annie. Come here, Annie. Annie. Here she comes. We might have to find another spot. Anyway, Jacob and Esau hugged and embraced each other because over time, because it takes time to forgive, right? And probably the deeper the pain, the longer it'll take to forgive. But over that time, Esau forgave Jacob, and Jacob, realized the wrong that he did and was, very kind to his brother and gave him many gifts, you know, kind of like an offering, a peace offering, if you will. So that's forgiveness, a big example of forgiveness. And Jacob essentially stole Esau's right, his birthright, his inheritance from his older brother. But over a long period of time, they forgave each other. Now, I got two questions. And these are difficult questions. I hope you share them because I think we can all learn something from it. The first question: what types of offenses are hardest for you to forgive? What type of offenses are hardest for you to forgive? The second question: how does forgiving others reflect your relationship with your Heavenly Father? How does forgiving others reflect your relationship with your Heavenly Father? All right, I'll go first. So, for the first question, what types of offenses are hardest for you to forgive? And I'm glad it's plural. I made this question plural because there's two, and I don't know which one's worse. First one is if someone or some people are acting nice to me, but really they want something bad to happen to me. They act really nice and kind, but in their heart and in their mind, they're really trying to get me in trouble or to have something really bad happen to me. That one's very hard to forgive. The second one for me that's hard to forgive is when someone says, I'm sorry, but, or I apologize, I'm going to have to do this to you, but, which means they know they're doing something wrong and they're going to do it anyway, but then they hope they forgive me, that I forgive them. I'm sorry. So they know they're doing something wrong or going to do something bad to me, and they ask for my forgiveness ahead of time, and then they go ahead and do that bad thing, and then they hope that I forgive them. That's ridiculous. So I know Paul, the Apostle Paul, in Colossians, I think it's chapter 3, he talks about, you can forgive and even sometimes have reconciliation, but you don't have to have reconciliation. You don't have to hang out with that person or talk to those people anymore. But I think you have to forgive them. Even the two type of offenses that I talked about. Probably don't want to talk to those people or ever hang out with them. but I definitely have to forgive them. Otherwise, I'll be carrying around that poison inside my body and just be a bitter person. And it'll just be horrible. And I think that's why the Bible teaches us to forgive. Even in the Our Father, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass or sin against us. I mean, we're told to do that. So no matter what, I have to do it. But it doesn't mean you have to hang out with those people afterward. But you have to get rid of that emotional baggage. What do you guys think? What type of offenses are hardest for you to forgive? And how does forgiving others reflect your relationship with your Heavenly Father? Well, mine is, of course, how does it reflect the relationship with the Heavenly Father? What did He do? He sent His Son to die on the cross for us, to become a human, to be humiliated and tortured and killed for our sake, for my sins. So when I think of that, Annie, come here. When I think of, she's so good. When I think of what He did, can you imagine giving up one of your children to go through the same suffering to pay for someone else's sins so that you could be with them forever because you love them that much? I mean, that's an unbelievable love that God gives us. So if God can forgive all the stuff that I have done and probably will do because we can't stop sinning, even though we try to be better and more Christ-like, it's already paid for. That's what grace is. God forgives us forever and always when we accept Christ. So when you think about that and the fact that He tells us to forgive others, it's impossible not to forgive. So I just always have to remember that as well. And I think we all can. What God did for us is unbelievable. We can't imagine doing something like that with our own child. Can't even imagine Annie going through something like that. But God did that for us. So I'm just very grateful for that. So the question was, how does forgiving others reflect your relationship with your Heavenly Father? Just like He forgives us, that's why we need to forgive other people. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like it, share it with other people. And today, if you got some baggage, some heavy emotional baggage, try forgiveness. All right? Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.